Chosen one. Something invisible just shifted in your favor, and this is the doorway you've been sensing without knowing how to name it. I need you to pause right here. Don't scroll. Don't treat this like background noise while your mind drifts somewhere else. Stay. There's a reason you felt pulled to this exact message at this exact moment. Before we go any deeper, commit to watching this all the way until the end. Not halfway. Not until it gets uncomfortable. All the way. And when you feel that confirmation in your spirit, that quiet spark that says, "This is for me," I want you to write your warmest wishes in the comments and seal them with amen. Just once. From the heart. This is a chapter about wishes coming true and energizing the universe, about aligning your voice with what's already aligning for you. But after that moment, we're not staying in wishing. We're stepping through something real. Because when I say a portal just opened, I'm not talking about fantasy. I'm talking about timing. There are moments in life where everything feels stagnant, heavy, repetitive. You wake up and it's the same patterns, the same frustrations, the same internal battles. You pray, you work, you wait, and it feels like nothing is moving. Then there are moments, subtle ones, where something shifts. Not loudly, not dramatically, but internally. You start feeling restless in places that used to feel fine. Conversations that once entertained you now feel draining. Goals that once seemed distant suddenly feel possible. It's like the air around your life changes density. That's a portal. A portal isn't a glowing door in the sky. It's a window of alignment. A period where decisions carry more weight, where clarity comes faster, where opportunities appear if you're paying attention. It's a crossing point between who you've been and who you're about to become. And the reason I said, don't scroll, is because portals don't stay open forever. They are windows. Windows require response. You've been in preparation longer than you realize. The delays, the lessons, the heartbreaks, the discipline you didn't want but needed. All of that was shaping you into someone who could recognize this moment instead of missing it. Because here's the truth. Some people experience open doors and still don't walk through them. Fear keeps them standing still. Doubt convinces them they're not ready. Distraction pulls their attention somewhere else. But you feel something different right now. There's an alertness in you, like your spirit is leaning forward. Portals open when internal readiness meets external timing, and your internal readiness has been building quietly. You've grown in ways no one clapped for. You've matured in places no one saw. You've let go of habits that once defined you. You've endured seasons that felt endless. You've stopped reacting the way you used to. You've started thinking long-term instead of impulsively. That's not random growth. That's alignment. Alignment unlocks acceleration. When you are aligned internally, when your habits, your mindset, your standards begin to match the life you say you want, the external world responds. Not magically, but naturally. You begin to notice synchronicities, conversations that connect, ideas that click, doors that open without forcing. It feels almost surreal. But it's not surreal. It's prepared opportunity meeting, prepared character. This portal is about expansion. Expansion of influence, expansion of clarity, expansion of confidence, expansion of capacity. But expansion stretches. You don't expand without discomfort. You don't elevate without shedding something. You don't level up without outgrowing something. And that's where this gets real. What have you been holding on to that doesn't fit the next version of you? Old narratives, old insecurities, old environments, old expectations from people who only knew the smaller version of you. Portals require release. You cannot carry everything into the next dimension of your life. Some relationships will feel distant. Some routines will feel misaligned. Some conversations will feel too small. That's not arrogance. That's evolution. You are not meant to stay where you started. But evolution demands courage, because when the portal opens, you feel exposed. You feel seen. You feel the weight of possibility, and possibility can be intimidating. It's easier to complain about closed doors than to step through open ones. Open doors require responsibility. They require action. They require you to trust yourself. Trust has been your lesson. Trusting your intuition. Trusting your timing. Trusting that the setbacks weren't permanent sentences. You've been tested in patience. You've been tested in discipline. You've been tested in humility. And you passed. Not perfectly, but honestly. That's why this moment feels different. There's less desperation, more steadiness, less chaos, more clarity. You're not trying to force outcomes anymore. You're positioning yourself. Positioning changes everything. When you're positioned correctly, you don't have to fight as hard. Doors recognize readiness. Opportunities sense alignment. This portal is not about fantasy breakthroughs. It's about decisive shifts. A decision to take yourself seriously. A decision to raise your standards. A decision to stop negotiating with fear. A decision to walk away from what drains you. A decision to step toward what calls you, even if it scares you. Fear doesn't disappear at the threshold of growth. It whispers. But this time, fear doesn't control you. You've built resilience. You've survived uncertainty before. You know what it feels like to rebuild. That knowledge gives you courage. Portals amplify intention. If you enter with doubt, you'll create confusion. If you enter with clarity, you'll create momentum. So guard your mind right now. Guard your self-talk. Stop speaking limitations over your own life. Stop rehearsing worst-case scenarios. This is not the season to shrink. It's the season to step. And stepping doesn't require perfection. It requires willingness. Willingness to learn. Willingness to adjust. Willingness to be seen. Willingness to outgrow old comfort zones. There will be resistance. Anytime you rise, resistance increases. Not because you're wrong, because you're expanding. Resistance sharpens you. It reveals weak spots. It strengthens discipline. It forces clarity. You don't have to fear it. You just have to endure it without abandoning your path. Chosen one, you didn't come this far to stay the same. You didn't endure those nights of doubt to repeat old cycles. You didn't learn those lessons to ignore this opening. The portal is not external. It's internal. It's the moment you decide you are no longer available for the smaller narrative about your life. It's the moment you stop asking if you're worthy. It's the moment you move like someone who understands their calling. Calling is not loud. It's persistent. It nudges you toward growth even when growth feels inconvenient. And right now, that nudge is stronger. You feel it. Something in you knows this isn't just another message. It's a marker, a turning point. From hesitation to action, from doubt to ownership, from stagnation to movement. Don't scroll past your own becoming. Don't numb yourself with distractions when destiny is inviting you forward. Sit with this. Breathe with this. Let it settle into your bones. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are being prepared for precision timing. And precision timing is here. The portal just opened, not so you could stare at it, but so you could walk through it with courage, discipline, and clarity. Step forward. This is the crossing point. Chosen one. Now that you've recognized the portal, the real question isn't whether it's open, it's whether you're willing to walk through it alone. Because this is where it gets quiet. In part one, there was urgency, a sense of timing, a sense of movement. But here, in this layer, the energy shifts. It becomes personal, intimate, almost uncomfortable. Portals don't just separate past from future. They separate familiar from unknown. And the unknown doesn't come with applause. It comes with silence. When you start stepping into a new dimension of your life, you'll notice something strange. The crowd thins out. The noise decreases. The constant validation fades. It can feel isolating at first, like you've moved into a space where not everyone understands your direction anymore. That's not rejection. That's refinement. You cannot carry every voice into a new season. Some voices were meant to guide you through survival. Some were meant to comfort you through pain. But this next space, it requires clarity. Too many opinions create confusion, and confusion keeps you standing at the doorway instead of crossing it. There's a loneliness that comes with elevation, not because you're better than anyone, but because you're different now. Your conversations are different. Your priorities are different. Your tolerance for chaos is lower. And when your tolerance shifts, your environment shifts. That can feel like loss, but it's actually space being made. Space is sacred. Without space, you can't hear yourself clearly. Without space, you can't discern direction. Without space, you default to old patterns because they're comfortable. The portal you step toward is not about noise, it's about alignment. And alignment often requires solitude. Solitude is not abandonment. It's incubation. Think about it. Seeds grow underground first. In darkness, in quiet, unseen, before anything breaks the surface. You're in that underground moment right now. And it doesn't look impressive from the outside. There's no dramatic breakthrough yet. No instant transformation. Just subtle internal shifts. A stronger boundary here. A calmer response there. A deeper sense of self-trust forming slowly. That's growth in its purest form. You're learning to sit with your own thoughts without panicking. You're learning to make decisions without polling everyone around you. You're learning to trust your intuition without needing constant confirmation. That is powerful, because once you trust yourself, external noise loses its grip. Let's be honest for a moment. Part of you still craves reassurance. You want someone to say, yes, this is the right move. You want someone to validate that you're not crazy for changing direction. You want someone to confirm that you're not overreaching. But here's the truth. The deeper you step into your calling, the fewer people will fully understand it. Not because it's wrong, but because it's tailored to you. And what's tailored to you won't always make sense to others. This is where courage becomes internal. Not loud courage, quiet courage, the kind that says, even if no one sees the vision yet, I do. That's maturity. And maturity stabilizes movement. When you don't need constant validation, you move more cleanly. You hesitate less. You over-explain less. You second-guess less. That's the next layer of the portal. Confidence without noise. Strength without performance. Progress without announcement. there's also a shedding happening. Old emotional attachments, old coping mechanisms, old habits of shrinking yourself to keep peace. You can feel it. Situations that once triggered you now feel distant. Reactions that once felt automatic now feel optional. You pause more. You observe more. You respond instead of react. That's not accidental. That's evolution. Evolution is uncomfortable because it destabilizes old identity. And identity is sticky. Even when it's outdated, you might catch yourself wanting to revert, to go back to the familiar, to seek comfort in what you've already outgrown. That temptation is normal, but it's not aligned. The portal doesn't pull you backward, it invites you forward. Forward requires discipline, not extreme discipline. Consistent discipline, showing up for yourself daily, maintaining standards, protecting your peace, guarding your focus. Discipline is self-respect in action, and self-respect raises your frequency. When your frequency rises, what you attract changes. Conversations shift, opportunities align differently. Your energy becomes more grounded, less chaotic, less desperate, more intentional. This isn't about becoming detached from the world, it's about becoming anchored within it. Anchored people don't get tossed around by every opinion. They don't crumble at minor resistance. They don't abandon direction because someone misunderstood them. They stay steady. Steadiness is power, and power doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it just stands quietly. Chosen one, this phase may not look dramatic, but internally, it's seismic. You are restructuring your identity, from reactive to reflective, from insecure to grounded, from approval-seeking to self-assured. That shift is the true crossing. Because once your identity changes, your life reorganizes around it. You no longer chase what doesn't align. You no longer entertain what drains you. You no longer overextend for temporary validation. That alone protects your next level. There's a deeper peace forming in you. Not because everything is perfect, but because you're no longer fighting yourself. You're not arguing with your intuition. You're not silencing your inner voice. You're listening. Listening creates clarity. Clarity creates direction. Direction creates momentum. And momentum carries you forward without constant force. This portal isn't dramatic fireworks, it's subtle recalibration. It's waking up and realizing you don't feel the same. It's noticing you don't react the same. It's recognizing your standards quietly rose. That's how transformation really happens, gradually, layer by layer, identity by identity. You are not who you were, and you're not yet who you will fully become. You're in between. In between is sacred. It's uncomfortable, yes, but it's sacred because it's the space where choice lives. And your choices right now matter. Choose alignment over attention. Choose peace over performance. Choose discipline over distraction. Choose growth over comfort. Those small decisions are you walking through the portal step by step. You don't need a dramatic leap. You need steady movement, and you're capable of that. You've proven it already. The silence you're feeling isn't emptiness, it's space. And space is where the next dimension of your life begins to form. Stay steady, stay present, keep walking. The portal didn't open for you to hesitate. It opened because you're ready to evolve beyond who you've been. Chosen one, this part is about what happens after you step through. Because crossing a portal isn't the climax, it's the recalibration. There's this myth that once you move into a new dimension of your life, Everything instantly feels expansive and light and obvious. Sometimes it does, but more often, it feels disorienting at first. You wake up and something is different, but you can't fully explain what. Old routines don't fit the same way. Old jokes don't land the same way. Even your own thoughts sound unfamiliar in your head. That's integration. You've stepped forward, but now your nervous system has to catch up. Growth is spiritual, yes, but it's also psychological, emotional, physical. When you outgrow a version of yourself, there's a temporary wobble, like learning how to walk again, but this time in a body that's stronger and taller. You might feel a strange mix of excitement and grief. Excitement for where you're going, grief for what you're leaving. And that grief doesn't mean you made the wrong move. It means you're human. Every new level costs something. Comfort, familiarity, certain relationships, old identities, and even when those things weren't good for you anymore, they were known. The unknown requires faith. Not loud faith, not dramatic declarations, quiet faith. The kind that says, even if this feels strange right now, I trust that I didn't come this far to shrink back. There's something else that happens after a portal opens. Tests, not punishment, confirmation. Life will gently, and sometimes not so gently, check whether you're serious about the shift. Old temptations may resurface, old people might reappear, old habits may whisper. It's almost like the universe asking, are you sure you're done with that level? And this is where many stumble. Not because they're weak, but because familiarity feels safe. But you can feel the difference now. You can feel when something is pulling you backward instead of forward. You can feel when a conversation drains instead of expands you. You can feel when you're about to compromise your new standard just to avoid discomfort. That awareness is strength. Before, you might have slipped back unconsciously. Now, you notice. Noticing gives you choice, and choice is power. This part of your journey is about reinforcement. Reinforcing your new boundaries. Reinforcing your discipline. Reinforcing your identity. It's not glamorous work. No one applauds you for not responding to that message, for not going back to that pattern, for choosing rest instead of chaos. But those small reinforcements are building a different life, a stable one, a grounded one. You're not chasing intensity anymore, you're choosing depth. Depth feels slower, quieter, but it lasts. There's also a recalibration of vision happening. Now that you've stepped forward, your old goals might even feel too small. Things you once thought were the ultimate dream now feel like stepping stones. That's not ingratitude, that's expansion. When your capacity increases, your vision stretches with it. You start seeing possibilities you couldn't see before. Not because they weren't there, but because you weren't aligned with them yet. Alignment changes perspective, and perspective changes decisions. You're thinking more long-term now, more strategically. You're less reactive to short-term highs and lows. There's a steadiness forming in you that feels adult, grounded, calm. You don't need to announce your growth anymore. You don't need to convince anyone that you're evolving. You just are. And that quiet confidence is magnetic. But here's something important. Don't confuse calm with complacency. This isn't the time to coast. It's the time to build. Not frantically, intentionally. You've stepped through the portal. Now you construct on the other side. What habits need strengthening? What skills need sharpening? What relationships need nurturing? What distractions need eliminating? This is where your future is shaped. not in dramatic moments, in daily choices, daily consistency, daily alignment. You won't feel fireworks every day. Some days will feel normal, routine, maybe even boring. But boring consistency builds extraordinary outcomes. That's the secret most people overlook. They want the portal without the process, the opening without the upkeep. But you're different now. You understand that expansion requires maintenance. You guard your energy differently. You spend your time differently. You speak to yourself differently. And the way you speak to yourself matters more than you realize. No more self-sabotage disguised as humility. No more shrinking disguised as politeness. No more procrastination disguised as waiting for clarity. Clarity often comes through movement. And you're moving. Maybe not loudly, but steadily. There's a sense of inevitability growing inside you. Not arrogance, just knowing. Knowing that you are not meant to live small. Knowing that your growth wasn't accidental. Knowing that the discomfort you endured had purpose. That knowing changes how you show up. You stand taller. You hesitate less. You recover faster when things don't go perfectly. Recovery speed is growth. You don't spiral the way you used to. You adjust. That's evolution in action. Chosen one, stepping through the portal, was brave. But staying aligned after stepping through, that's maturity. And maturity sustains expansion. You are not here for a temporary glow-up. You are here for lasting transformation. That means protecting what you've built internally, not letting old narratives creep back in, not letting temporary emotions override long-term vision, not letting nostalgia trick you into regression. Nostalgia can be seductive. It romanticizes what once was. But you didn't step forward for nostalgia. You stepped forward for alignment. And alignment is forward-moving. There's something powerful about the quiet season after a shift. It's where identity locks in, where new standards feel natural instead of forced, where discipline becomes routine instead of effort. You're entering that stage, and it won't always feel dramatic, but it will feel solid, stable, real. That's how you know this wasn't hype. It was transformation. You crossed a threshold. Now you build on new ground. Stay steady, stay aware, stay disciplined, because what you're constructing in this season will support the visible expansion that's still ahead. The portal opened. You stepped through. Now you become at home in the next dimension of yourself. Chosen one, this final layer is not about the portal opening. It's about you becoming the portal. Read that slowly. At the beginning, it felt external, like something mystical shifted in the atmosphere, like timing aligned, like a doorway appeared in front of you and all you had to do was not scroll past it. But now you understand something deeper. The real doorway was never outside of you. It was your decision, your awareness, your willingness to evolve. That's what opened the passage. And this is where everything settles into something quieter, but stronger. When you first sense a shift, it feels electric, urgent, charged. There's anticipation, curiosity, maybe even a little anxiety. But after you step through, after you recalibrate, after you reinforce your new standards, something stabilizes. You don't feel like you're chasing transformation anymore. You feel like you are transformed. Not perfectly, not finished, but anchored. There's a new baseline in you now. Old chaos doesn't excite you. Old distractions don't grip you. Old insecurities don't dominate you. They might whisper sometimes. You're human. But they don't drive. And that's the difference. You've moved from reaction to authorship, from drifting to directing, from hoping something changes to becoming the change. That's power. Not loud power, not the kind that needs to prove itself, but the kind that walks into a room and shifts the temperature without saying a word. When you embody the shift, you stop looking for signs everywhere. You become the sign. Your presence speaks stability. Your choices reflect discipline. Your energy communicates clarity. And people feel it. They might not be able to articulate what's different about you, but they'll sense it. The calm, the focus, the refusal to entertain what no longer aligns. You don't need to announce that you crossed into a new dimension. It's evident in how you move. There's also a release happening here, a release from the need to constantly be in breakthrough mode. You don't need constant dramatic confirmation that you're growing. You trust the process now. You trust yourself now. You trust that when the next shift is ready, you'll feel it. Until then, you build, you live, you stay aligned. This is the mature stage of awakening. Not obsessed with the next portal, not scanning the horizon anxiously, but fully present in the new level you've already entered. That presence is rare. Most people are either stuck in regret or chasing the future. You're here, grounded, aware, intentional. That's where real momentum lives. Momentum doesn't come from frantic movement. It comes from steady direction. You know your direction now. You might not have every detail mapped out, but you know who you are not anymore. And sometimes that clarity is more powerful than knowing exactly who you'll become. You've outgrown self-doubt as a lifestyle. You've outgrown chaos as entertainment. You've outgrown shrinking as safety. And you didn't do it overnight. You did it through reflection, through correction, through uncomfortable honesty, through discipline, through choosing growth over ego. That's why this shift is durable. It's not built on hype. It's built on internal restructuring. There will be more portals in your life, more expansions, more crossings, but they won't intimidate you the same way, because now you understand the pattern. Preparation, awareness, decision, integration, reinforcement, embodiment. You've lived it, you've felt it, and now you carry it. Chosen one, the reason this message told you not to scroll wasn't because something magical would disappear. It was because attention is sacred. What you focus on expands, and you chose to focus on your evolution instead of distraction. That choice matters more than you think. Every time you choose awareness over autopilot, you strengthen your alignment. Every time you choose discipline over impulse, you reinforce your future. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you widen your path. You are not the same person who first felt that internal nudge. And you're not going back. Not because you're better than anyone, but because you've seen what's possible when you move intentionally. There's a quiet pride in that. Not arrogance, just acknowledgement. You did the work, you faced yourself, you stepped forward when it would have been easier to stay where you were. That's courage. And courage compounds. As you move forward from here, don't look for portals in panic. Live in alignment. Portals open naturally when alignment is sustained. You don't have to chase destiny. You have to become consistent. Consistency is the real gateway. And you've built it. The atmosphere around your life feels different now because you are different now. Clearer, calmer, more decisive, more disciplined, less reactive, more rooted. That is the true crossing. The portal opened. You stepped through. And now you stand on new ground, not as someone waiting for transformation, but as someone who embodies it. Keep walking, keep building, Keep aligning. You didn't just witness a doorway, you became the threshold. And from here on out, every step you take carries the weight of someone who knows they are no longer living by accident, but by design.